You.
Well, we're here to talk about this new album, the Pronoia Sessions. Porter, what's the main idea behind of the Pronoia Sessions?
I think we as Atreyu have always wanted to challenge ourselves and to try new things. If you've listened to our records over the years, then you realize that, we don't write the same song twice and everything sends you on a little journey here and there. And we started doing some acoustic versions of our songs for VIP on a couple tours, trying to make a special experience for fans. And we realized that we kind of shocked ourselves, to be honest, that it was like pretty fucking good. And the fans were like, we want to hear an album of this. So we spoke with Spine Farm, our record label, and we asked, hey, can we get a little bit of money to go into the studio and record this album? It's just as a little side thing, a little thing for fun. And they said, yeah, absolutely. We'd love to hear what that sounds like. So we did. It ended up being much more than just an acoustic album. It's very much a reimagining. I don't know if you've heard the whole album yet, but it's wild. Every song is completely different and sends you down a whole new direction. There's songs that are, very anthemic. There's a Tim Burton-esque feeling song. There's a song that is, dare I say, which is, I don't know if you could use this for many of our other songs in our history, but it's like sexy, for lack of a better word. It's fun. It's a really fun album, and it's something that we really enjoyed creating. And we're excited for people to be hearing it in the next month or so.
Yeah, well, of course it's fun, but how difficult is to transform a song that was originally created, intended to be a metal track, and make it acoustic without losing, meaning and intensity and force?
It wasn't, if I'm honest. We're musicians that come from many different types of music. We love many different types of music. Like I said, we don't write the same song twice. We're always going to try to one up ourselves and challenge ourselves and try new things. And this is just a natural part of it. And it was, an interesting experience to, do the two cover songs of Tom Petty's and Audio Slaves, but also essentially cover ourselves and to see how we can reimagine these songs into something completely different, yet still connected to, like you said, the quote unquote metal song that we wrote.
That's right. Well, going back to work on these songs, I was working years ago and giving them a new life, a new form. It was also an act of nostalgia for you, of being able to look back at Atreyu's past and see how far you have come to this day.
It definitely was. That's something that we text from time to time in our group. We be like, hey, I listened to Long Live recently. Like, have you listened to that one in a while? Or I listened through Suicide Notes all the way. Like, there's some really cool stuff on that. Like we, as a band, you get often stuck in, playing not the same songs every tour, but similar songs every tour, or you're promoting a certain album and it's just, even we forget that we've been around for 25 damn years, So it was fun to go back and try to redo those songs as the current versions of ourselves, for a different purpose. It was fun.
Great. Less than a year ago, you released your last album, The Beautiful Dark of Life. After a year, do you think it has stood the test of time? How do you see this album in perspective?
I think so. I think that has some of the best songs we've ever written. I think songs like Drowning and songs like and Forevermore and Come Down, to name a few, are truly some of the best things we've ever written. And I think it's always, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. It's always fun to hear stories from the fans that have grown with us over the years and hear how translate what we meant and how it translates to them, I should say. I think that the album really connected with people in ways that maybe our last couple albums haven't. Not as a whole, but I think I think it really worked.
And are you working new music, or is it too soon to think about this?
Yep. We have about 10 plus songs already written and demoed out. And I fucking hate that I have to wait like a whole year to share it with anyone.
Well, your last album was released almost entirely individually, in EPs and singles before its release. Do you think does this take away a bit of anticipation for your work? Do you plan to continue using this strategy for the future?
I do think after everything in hindsight, it did. our goal was had multiple different reasons. One was to tell a different story with each EP, meaning a different part of the story. Two, we can see statistical data on Spotify and Apple Music and all of these things. And you look at albums and like the first four songs everyone listens to, and then maybe like a single, and everything else has vastly lower listening amounts. And that as an artist, like that bums us out. It makes us sad because like there are so many good songs on an album that just don't get listened to because of the this day and age's way of consuming, right? Like back in the day, I can't see you, I don't know how old you are, but we grew up listening to tapes, cassettes, CDs, vinyls, and you would get that album and you would sit and and you would read the lyrics as you listened to it, and it sometimes never left your CD player or your tape deck in your car or whatever, and you just really sat with an album for a long time. And I feel like that art is lost a bit, for good or for bad. And so we decided that we wanted to release as EPs so all of our listeners had a lot more time with fewer songs, right? And so they could connect to each of those a little bit more. We did keep three extra songs for the actual album. And I think you're right. It did ultimately, it functioned the way we wanted it to because everyone connected to it as it went along. But then the album coming out wasn't as big of a deal, which is okay. You have to live and learn, and you have to try new things, and you have to try different strategies. There's no one right way to do it. Will we do that again? Probably not, but I don't regret doing it or trying it.
Do you think this old, let's call it old school way to consuming albums, to consuming music, to hear an entire album is dead?
I hope not. I personally, I mean, it may be an old school way of thinking, but I don't like listening to six singles of an album that has 10 songs before it comes out. I like to ingest and enjoy an album in its entirety and see what sort of journey, sort of adventure it takes you on. I really enjoy that. And so that's, it's a tricky thing. You see people like Ronnie Radke with Falling in Reverse just releasing singles, and he's bigger than he's ever been. Does that mean we should do that? Maybe. Does that mean we will do that? I don't know. I really don't know. We aren't the band, and we've never have been a band that try to follow the current trends and change our decisions about music based on that. And if we do, we'll do it like we did with Beautiful Dark of Life and try something different and try something that works within our ideas and, morality, if you will.
No, I really love to hear entire albums, but stop talking about future and talk again about past. Because about 15 years ago, you can remember well, you were here in Mexico with Iron Maiden, and people were not very kind with you. What did you learn from that experience?
Well, to be fair, which were you at Monterrey or Mexico City?
Monterrey.
So I guess in both shows, but specifically Monterrey, there was about 35,000 people there, I would say, right? And 5,000 people in the front only wanted Iron Maiden, right? Those 5,000 people didn't fucking matter who it was. They wanted Iron Maiden. And we were also the odd band out, if you will. I think it was Morbid Angel and Carcass, and I can't remember anyone else right now. But we are not the same as any of those. And so there are 5,000 people on the front that didn't want to see us and were throwing pesos at us and I actually got hit in the face here. I have a scar right there with a metal spike about this big. I actually have it. I think I took a photo of it recently. I don't think I have it here. Anyways, I was headbanging really fast and I got hit right here. And it legit no, not even right here. Sorry, it's right here. I have a dent in my skull from it.
Yeah, I can see it.
So that was scary. I'm not going to lie. But there were 30,000 people out there, circle pitting, having a great time, singing along. Every single item of our merch was sold out. They had a fucking blast. So it was a good lesson. The next show in Mexico City, we actually had Carcass play. We played a little bit earlier. And, it was a little bit of the same. It was daylight, so it was easier to dodge the pesos. And we just kind of had fun with it. And we scooped up the pesos and put them in our pockets and said muchas gracias and just did what we did. You know, there were still 30,000 or 50,000 or however many people there having a blast. So fun, quick little story though. We played again with Iron Maiden last year, I think last year in Canada. And because of the experience in Mexico, we were a little bit nervous on what it would be like, but it was nothing. We didn't have a single thing thrown at us. Let's put it that way.
Well, Canadians are always kind people with everyone.
Yeah, they might throw something, but they would apologize as soon as it hit us. You know, I think music is cyclical and it builds and it goes in waves and it grows on itself. And if you look at historically how when metalcore was big and when metal was big in the last wave of it, it was, you know, after a great wave of techno and then after grunge and then after punkish kind of pop punk, which merged into that a little bit or overlapped that a little bit. And we've kind of gone through those things again. So I think we as a band are excited to still exist in the next wave of it and are proud to be, you know, one of the forefathers of metalcore, if you will, or metal and hard rock. You know, we've been around a long time. And yeah, it's fun to still be doing it. And I look forward to playing those big arenas and getting lifted up by the next wave, you know?
Great. Well, Porter, besides music, you're also passionate about photography. And what's the main difference between expressing yourself through sound and through an image?
I connect to a different part of my creativity when I make a lot of art. I do paintings, I do graphic design, I do photography, I make videos, I short films, sculpture, anything that has that spark. Like I just follow that path of excitement that is laid out in front of me. And it all leads me down that creative road, right? Music for me is not something that I do alone. I write for the band, of course, but I usually will come up with the idea of a theme for a song, some lyrics, some melodies, a rough guitar part. I don't sit here and write the entire song and then present that. For me, music is a very communal thing. It is done with my band. I only write with Atreyu. I only make music with Atreyu. And I love that because it gives me lots of time to do other creative endeavors. But yeah, so to answer your question directly, it's a different side of my creativity. It's a more communal based, a more community based, a more group based thing, you know?
When are you coming to Mexico with Atreyu?
Yeah, sadly, I have not been to Mexico nearly as much as I would like. I have a great appreciation for your culture, for your architecture, for your food, for your artists. And when Atreyu have been there, it was very brief and for like festival type scenarios, so I didn't get to explore that much. But to answer your question again, I think we're working on it. I think maybe you'll see something pretty soon. I can't say exactly when, but you know, it'll happen. It'll happen.
Great.
Hey, this is Porter McKnight from Atreyu, and you're listening to our new album, The Ponoia Sessions on Summer Inferno.